Okay, this is the second part in drawing the walls in AutoCAD for the project house this semester. It will take you a while to do this. You're learning AutoCAD at the same time you are laying out your walls. And it's a good way to do that because it's going to help you when you get to Revit. It'll also help you in other CAD software like SolidWorks or 3D House or Chief Architect or Inventor or any platform you use. It'll give you that experience to gain. So in our first video, I laid out pretty much bedrooms 3 and 4 and bathroom 2, almost. I've got the wall here on the side from the closet to the bathroom is not established yet, mainly because bedroom 4 has a weird little layout going to it, and that will line up with the wall down by bedroom number 2. So we want to keep that all kind of lined up there. If we look at the plan that I'm showing you right now, these dotted lines, I mean, these are archways. They're not doors. They're openings in the wall that can be decorative, or they may be out of timber, so they have more of a rustic look to them. But this one that comes across, then over the fireplace mantle, and then all the way down to the hallway is actually going to be a bearing beam. It's going to hold up a lot of the way of the roof. So again, lining up the walls is really a good way to start with a home. If you get too much of a distance between your walls, we end up moving into steel, and that's very expensive. Now, the other lines in here are faux beams. That means they're fake. They're decorative. They're lightweight. Oftentimes they're made out of pine, which is small. But we'll look at that more in Revit because that's a better place to do that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here now. I'm going to start working on the lower part of the building because I really don't have the information I need for everything until bedrooms 2, the foyer, and the flex room are laid out. Now, that makes it a little tricky. There's a good chance that I'll probably end up putting double doors in bedroom 2 as well. I'm not sure. Well, I'm playing with some ideas in my head, which is always kind of a crazy way of doing that, but it's good. So let's, without any further ado, let's kind of move forward. So this is where I left off at, and it's all good. I'm going to come back down here to my original 12 by 12 room, and I'm going to kind of get myself positioned a little bit. Let's go ahead and put this wall in. As remember, we did offsets, and interior walls are 4.5 inches. I do not need to use the quotes when I'm doing inches because that's my default units of measure. I click on the wall and I come out. So we're going good now. All right, now on this plan, this lower wall pops out. Again, I talked a little bit last time about how using modular construction things like a 4x8 sheet of plywood that I can cut down and use pieces in proper ways. So anytime I can cut something in half and keep it an even number, that's my goal. So I take a half sheet, cut it down half. A half sheet of or 2-foot sheet by 4-foot sheet can be used on this wall. So I'm going to actually extend this inside wall line by 2 feet. That means bedroom number 2 is going to be a little bit larger. So to do that, I'm going to use the grips. We talked about those last time as well, but I'm just going to hit escape. So there's nothing in my command line. I select the line or the object that I want. In this case, I'm going to move this lower endpoint. So I'm going to grab a hold of that and drag it down. And I'm going to type in. Now, if you look, if your settings are good, I can eyeball that, but that's a nightmare, and that will make you bonkers. So I'm just going to type in 24 and hit enter. And now I know where that wall extends to. Again, I'm not doing the outside piece. I'm only doing inside. I'm going to take now and add a line. Again, you can use the icon, or you can type L and enter, grab the endpoint, and this bedroom has a width of 12.5 feet, or 12 foot 6 inches. So I'm going to do 12.5 feet because that's faster and more efficient. You could put in 12 foot 6 and quote, that works as well. That's just fine. And then enter that in. Now I've got the wall going up. Okay. I know it has to go up at least to here. It's got to match with this other wall. Now, the nice thing about using O-snaps, I'm going to do a perpendicular one so it matches where my wall is. So I'm going to just type PER to override all the other O snaps and hit enter. And that's going to come up and match right there. Well, now I can just take it across and hit the end part, and that room is just kicked out really fast. Super, super fast. Now, there is a closet right here on this house. It's a standard closet. It means it's not a walk-in. It's just a typical bifold or bypass doorway on it. Many of you have that in your bedroom at home. Before I lay that out, I do want to put in my wall here so I keep track. So this line here has to come across. So let's do a quick O-snap. Offset, sorry, not O-snap, offset, 4.5 inches. Take this wall over, and I'm going to connect it with the wall over here. Now, if you're thinking, how's the easiest way to do that? Well, that's the fillet command. Type in fillet. My radius is set to 0. I can see that down in my command line. And if your command line is a little short where you can't see that, put your cursor down on there, get that double arrow, and bring it up so you have at least 3 lines of information. It will help you immensely. Okay, now I'm going to click one line up here and take it all the way over to here. Now I can see a little bit more. Again, I'm not doing the outside walls yet. So my closet's going to be based in this corner of the bedroom. I'm going to do another offset. I'm going to do an offset of 24 inches from the inside wall down. Enter twice, change my offset value to 4.5 inches. Offset down again. So this is my room area. This is a big reason why we added 2 feet here. It adjusts for the 2 feet we lose here. So it all keeps it balanced. Square footage just ends up staying the same. Okay, now because we've got a closet in here, there's a couple things about closets. The minimum width of your closet, your minimum closet doorway is 4 feet. You need at least a foot on each side of that. So that makes your closet 6 feet. Okay, so let me show you what that would look like at a 6 foot. I'm going to do an offset, and I'm going to put in 6 feet. Again, going from this inside wall to the left, that's 6 inches. I forgot the 6 feet. I grab that, and that's where it's going to go. Well, my doorway is going to be over here. I might want my doors kind of beside each other a little bit. It just makes sense to do that, traffic flow wise. That's a lot of space in here. Well, I'm going to play with some offsets. This is where I'm going to design on the fly, if you will. So I'm going to offset, enter, enter. Oops, I'm doing too many enters. I'm going to just do it 2 foot increments. If I go over another 2 feet, this is an 8-foot closet. And if I do a DI for distance, and I measured that space, I've got about 4'6" there. I could go over another foot, but then I'm not in my even flow of things, and I really want to be able to have some room to work. I may change things later, but I think I'm good with that. So I'm going to do an 8-foot closet, give a little more storage space. That means this line is going to go away. Offset 4.5, taking that over. Now I've lost my 4'6". I'm now closer to 4 feet. If my door is 32 inches and 36, I don't have a whole lot of space here, but I do have room now for my light switches and a power outlet, and maybe even a little shelf or something here, a mirror to hang. So it'll work out really quite nicely as we go. And they use the fillet tool. Actually, they use the trim tool. No, fillet tool first. Fillet, do the inside corners. It's more efficient. Sometimes you have to question yourself which way you want to go with things. Then trim, TR, window, clean out my wall joints, my wall intersection points. Again, the only reason we're doing this, it makes it a little easier when you're in Revit reproducing these walls to know when to stop so you can go a little faster. So part of this isn't a plan to get you there faster. Part of it's just to teach you to be neat in your work. So there's this room. This is bedroom number 2. That happened really quickly. Now, I'm going to take the walls and I come up here. And on my plan, if I pull that up for you very quick and snappy like, that's where I'm at right here. Now, notice this door is shifted over a little bit more. It's kind of centered in the space. there's probably a good 4 feet there. But I can adjust that, and that's good. I got my closets in place now. This is the relationship right here, this closet wall, and then where that's going to lie with the fireplace. So let's talk about fireplaces. You can still have a wood burning fireplace, but they are very, very expensive. And with the way counties and cities and states are changing their laws, they're becoming less and less usable. I mean, you might have one, but you can only burn it for like 1 or 2 days a year. So this will end up becoming a gas insert fireplace. It can still have the same look of a large, um, big old wood burner, but it's going to be a gas fireplace, much lighter, more efficient, also a little bit safer. The depth of the fire chamber itself is 2 feet. Okay. Then we've got all this fire blocking. So even though we're using a gas fireplace, I still need to put in blocks that are fire resistant. Nothing is fireproof. Nothing's fireproof, but I can put fire resistance to keep that from overheating. And those are about 8 inches. So if I have 2 feet and then another 16 for that double layer of fire protection, that's where this size comes in. So let's do the math on that because that affects these bookshelves on either side. So if I come out 16 inches, that's 1.5 feet plus 2, that's 3.5 feet is where that's going to lie. That's going to tell me where these walls happen for my bathroom, my closet here that I haven't done yet. Okay. So I'm going to use base knowledge. And again, you're going to gain this knowledge as you gain experience. That's the beauty of it all. So I've got these walls kind of laid in there, but I'm going to go off of this, the closet wall that I have here. And I'm actually just going to take and do a line. And I grab that endpoint of this and pull it up. And I'm using this as kind of the gauge where I'm at. So I'm going to do DI. They go from here and just go straight over. That's only 2'9". So there's a couple things that have happened. Okay. One, I may have not given, I've given myself too much room in this closet, but I can also look at using alternate materials for that fireplace. And if I try to keep things lined up and knowing that that fireplace can sit in that area, if I offset that and leave this where it's at, these walls here that are now blue, I could adjust to make things work out a little bit better. What I'm kind of more worried about is that I may not have enough space here. I may need to do a little bit more tweaking to get things exactly as I want them. And if you're paying really close attention, I mean really close, my plan is not matching what's here, and it won't. You will not have an exact match. One thing is that this plan has been Xeroxed and copied even before I got it, and so it's stretched a little bit. So they're not really the same size as they're showing. I do want to keep this and this. So I'm going to this wall won't be the same proximity. Plus, that's a pretty thick wall. There's a couple beams in there. So let's go back down here then. And if I'm going to leave these where they are, let me just check my numbers because it's been a while since I did this. 7'10.5". That is a pretty decent size bath area, so I can live with that. My closet then here, 5'6". I don't want to change that. That's a really good closet. So I'm going to add in that distance that we talked about needing. So thanks for playing, but I'm going to send you on your merry way because I need more, because more is better than none. And we talked about needing 3.5 feet there. So I'm going to do an offset, 3.5, put the foot mark in so I get my feet, going off this wall over. And I'm not terribly off on my sizes. I'm okay with that distance. I'm going to do an extend, the X, sorry. And that's going to go down to the walls of the bedrooms below, so I know better where I'm at. So right down there. And I'm okay with that. That's, now remember that 3'6" is from the face of the wall into the fireplace. So now I can go back. Now, if I'm looking at that wall, it's probably going to have some pretty substantial beams or columns to support the beam. Um, I don't really know what size they are because we'd have to do the engineering on that, but there's a good chance they're probably 8 inches square. Now that means they're 7.5 inches square is what we're going to look at. Plus, if we put chipboard on them, that's going to take us back out to 8.5 inches. So you get playing with it, make sure you plan for that. So that's going to be an offset for this plan of 8.5. Let's take a look what that looks like. Oh my goodness, I like it. It looks good. I'm going to keep it and bag it up. Now, this beam system goes all the way up to where this wall is going to now not be right where it is. So I don't know where it's going. So now to stop with my design here, I can take this wall over to it, but it's not going to be trimmed or anything yet. So I'm just going to do a quick extend. I'm going to use this line to go to. I'm going to shoot out both those. So that's building my hallway now. There'll be an opening here, and there'll be a bookshelf, built-in cabinets here, and something on the other side, but I've got to keep going. So this is a come back to. So here's a little thing you can do. If you're not sure where to just somehow mark it, and you can do that with a couple ways. Actually, that's probably going to confuse you if we do anything crazy like that. You just have to keep track of your walls. And let's kind of move forward to the foyer area. So the foyer tells me that the foyer on this is 6'6" across. That's easy to do. Offset 6.5. Remember, it's 6 inches is half a foot, so that's 0.5. Don't put in 6.6; it's going to throw you off. We're going to do feet. So I get feet, and then make my width. So this is a foyer. That's going to go to another wall. So we're back to 4.5 inches, which is excellent. And I'm on that flex room. Now, the flex room is more likely a den, an office. It could be a guest room. It could be a front room that's for where visitors come and spend their little bit of time. Don't really know. Doesn't really matter. It's the client's choice. But it is 12'4" across. Now, you're worried, well, what about 12'4"? Remember, if it's visible by 4, it works really well for modular construction. So 12'4", 12'8", then we get to 13. So it works really well that way. You want to avoid really small strips. So if I had to cut a 2-inch strip of wood, that would probably not be very accurate because we're using a circular saw on an outside sawhorse. You want to make sure you got room for error. Error is really bad. So here we go. That's going to go across 12'4". On my offset again, that's actually 12.25 feet. If you want to figure that all out, because 4 times 3 is 12. But I'll put in 4. So 12 foot, 12 foot, 4 inches. Enter that in, click, and go over. And now I'm ready for another interior wall. 5. So, and now I'm going to stop a minute. This now jogs back up the 2 feet, so it matches where this wall here is. And I want that clear over there. Well, I'm going to use a mirror command. A mirror command lets me flip things over and copy them. And the mirror command is done with MI, enter. I want this interior wall line. And so I select it, enter in the selection. And I'm just going to go around this point. It's not the center, but it's okay. I'm just quickly put it there. If I drag it up, boom. Now I've got one. It says, do you want to erase that? No, don't erase the original. And now I'm over here. So this is where this jogs back in, and which is good because now I can just do a fillet and make it all look pretty. So this line comes here to here. And so that's really good. And because this goes all the way across, I can start putting my lines in that I'm missing. So there's a line there. And another line here for that flex room that I have. And this is outside. So keeping along, going along there. Now the flex room is done. I've got a storage room here. Now, if you want to pop these out more, sometimes architects and designers will do a 3-foot differential there. Realize it's going to cost you more to do that than a 2-foot or a 4-foot because you have waste, you have materials you have to throw away. So really think carefully about if that's what your design intent is, if that's what you want, because it will cost you more. All right, this little storage room goes into the garage. It is 9 foot by 6 foot. It's a pretty substantial storage area. So I'm gonna go back in, right click, recent input, and offset 9 foot, inside wall to inside wall. Not terribly bad. We got to talk about this is now the wall. Let me show you where we're at so you can feel included. That is where this wall right here is located. It's a wall that's part of the garage. And now worlds change very, very quickly, okay? Which is a big reason why I don't do exterior walls yet. So in a garage, we mentioned this briefly in class, it is the second location, well, sorry, it's the first location of house fires. The second one is the kitchen, and they usually are in pretty close proximity to each other. Because of that, we have to create a fire barrier between the garage and our house, which means we have to use a different type of gypsum board on it. The house gets a 1/2 inch on the interior walls, which will allow for a 1 hour fire rating, which means it's going to take the fire an hour to burn through it. With the garage, we need a 2 hour fire rating. So you can either put 2 layers of 1/2 inch gypboard or 1 layer of 5/8 type X gypboard. Type X means it's got fire retardant built into it. So it's a little bit thicker. Either one is acceptable. Both meet code requirements, but we want to make sure we are aware of that. So any wall that is between the house and the garage needs to have that treatment, which is why they look a little thicker on the plan a little bit. Okay. Again, I'm not ready to do the garage, but we're going to go ahead and put that wall in. So if this is that storage wall, I get a 1/2 inch on the inside. I have to use a 2x6 wall stud. So now I've got 5.5 plus 1/2, that's 6 inches, plus the 5/8. So I'm gonna look at 6.625 inches for that wall. It's quite a bit thicker. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just doing an offset on this wall here. And I'm gonna change things out a little bit as we do that. This wall is at an end, and be right here, and then do an offset of my wall between the house and garage. It's going to be 6.625 inches. I'm just going to do it exact because I'm going to most likely change this quite a bit. Offset and go over so we can see it's visibly larger on that, and so we can kind of keep things moving along there. Sorry about those interruptions. Okay, so we got my storage room. Storage room steps back 2 feet. The height on this is 6 feet for the vertical distance. So offset, 6 foot, 72 inches, goes up. And now I have that wall. On the other side of this wall is the pantry. So do 4.5 inches, comes up. Clean up as I go. It's a lot easier than coming back afterwards because you will miss something. And it gives you a chance to think. This pantry is weird. We've got a lot of pop-ins and coveries out of it. In order to finish that up, I need to finish my flex room. This flex room has some area taken out of it, meaning there is not a closet in it, but it acts like a closet has been missing. Okay. There's a couple ways. Easy way to do that is I'm going to do a copy command. So that's CO, and if you remember, or a CP. I'm going to copy those lines and that line. And I'm actually going to go from this endpoint and I'm just match it to a perpendicular line there. Now it's a little weird way of doing it, but I'll explain what I'm doing here. I don't have a wall in this area, but I do want to be able to close off and keep the room somewhat symmetrical because I don't have really a full understanding what this is yet. I need to go back and look. I'm going to do a fillet, close this off. Just a little faster way of, if I've got something drawn that I can use, I might as well use it and not have to keep rebuilding wheels. Might have to change this little section here. We'll see in a moment. And I'll trim this in a minute as well. Let's go back and take a look at our plan. So our plan has a big old built-in shelf here, okay? And then we have this. So let's look at what we have. And then we've got an ice machine. This is a pretty nice thing. And a refrigerator space. I don't know what size refrigerator they're buying. If I buy a standard refrigerator, freezer on top, door on the bottom, that's not very expensive, they're 32 inches square. If I get a gourmet refrigerator, side-by-side doors, then I'm looking at 42 inches or more. You can actually get up to refrigerators now that are 6 feet wide. Big old 3-foot doors on each side and freezer on the bottom. Those are huge, okay, but they're available. Most residential, you probably look at 42 or 32 inch for those. So I have to plan for that. So let me think it through here a minute. This has a shelf line inside the pantry. Most shelves are 12 inches. And since it looks similar to my overhead cabinets, that's what I'm going to go with. If it was my pantry, I would do an 18-inch shelf because I can put more canned goods on those shelves at 18 inches, and I can still support the weight, and there's still plenty of room in there to stand. So that would be one thing I would do on there is increase the size of the shelf. But so I know that's about a foot. So that means this little jog here is coming in probably 18 inches completely. Okay. So if I go 18 inches and then come back to where my wall is, and I go 42 just to be safe, and then I eyeball another 42, which looks about right, and maybe another 36. Then I have, I'm estimating. It does not have to be exact. You are the designer. You can change it. Those walls will be really easy to move. That's not a big deal. So wow, that's 10 feet of space there, which if I can find a 10-foot area, we can compare that. We add those all up. That's a 12-footer. Yeah, it can be about 10 feet. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so let's build it. That means I'm going to go from this wall here and then offset 18 inches. I'm going to go ahead and take that out to 4.5 as well for right now. I'm going to do a fillet and close off where the wall lines up with the closet on the other side in that bedroom, because line up the walls as much as I can makes my life easier later. And I'm going to do a distance right now just to see where I'm at. I'm at 9 foot, 10. So I'm just about at 10 feet. I need another 2.5 inches. So I check out what I've got here for my storage. That's 3 foot 11. Then make a choice here. I want this to be an even 4 feet. This is what I want right here. So keeping things nice and neat. I need to move a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to do S for stretch, window this, move to the right 0.5 inches. Check my distance again. Now I'm at 4. Okay. Now I want this to be 10. So let's do ahead and measure distance over to here. I need another 2 inches. Okay. Stretch, window, pick a place point to enter. Now I've got that laid out. So my pantry is starting to form. I know where this wall goes. That's making life a little easier. This doesn't happen here anymore. I'm going to go ahead and do an extend here because I need this set of walls to go across to close off the pantry. So we're just going to click right there, click and click. And if I click again, it closes off. Do a fillet command next. Close this one down. This is all going to be trim work now. So do a trim, crossing window so I get everything. These guys go bye-bye. Thanks for playing. That was shouldn't be. Oh, no, I can't delete that one. I cut off the middle. Now it's just stuck in the teeth. Let me Control Z. The order which you trim is important, so don't leave hangnails and goobers. So trim, 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 trim. And now I've got to close this all off. So I've got to do a couple of things here. I'm going to trim. Um, I've got to do a little bit of fancy footwork here. I've got to do an extend first. Take this line up. Trim all of this out. And then go back to the fillet tool and close this off. So that will be an experience thing. You're going to mess up on something like that a couple of times. You'll end up redrawing. Not a big deal. Go ahead and do that and enjoy the thrill of learning. But that now brings us across the bottom of the house. Garage sits here. We're getting closer. I've got a wall now I can use to set the width of my great room. And I think I'm going to call that video too. So kudos to all of you. Let's just keep moving forward. Just don't lose track of where you're at, and we'll be fine. Okay. Next time, we're getting close. It's almost there.